5F, welcome to our morning message on Wednesday, March 25. Coming to you live here from my man cave. This is one of those places in my house where, when I'm just feeling sick and tired of being around people, especially all the girls in the family, I can escape here to my man cave and just sort of do manly stuff, lift weights, look at sports and stuff, and hang out with my peeps here, Eric and what's her face, Ariel and whatnot. So anyway, we're worried about our test. By the way, new hat every day. That's the goal. Worried about our test yesterday. I graded them. I was so proud of you. I knew it was going to happen. I knew you knew your stuff. Our class averaged a 90, which is amazing for a class average, especially on a test like this where it was so much information. You did a great job. I am looking for a way to best send you your test so that you can see what you missed and why. It's a little tricky to do, but I'm thinking about it and hopefully I can figure something out. Now I'm on to grading your tour builders, and those take a little bit more time, but I started and I will get those done ASAP. But anyway, congratulations on your test. You rocked it. Remember, for social studies today, we're going to read Sam chapter 13 on our own, and then you're going to go play the quizzes game. All of that assignment is in Google Classroom, and you can go do it there and turn it in there and everything. So read 13, and then we'll come back together next week and read the end of the book together. All right, today's morning message is going to be decidedly featuring a guest. But first, we need to have our traditional morning stuff.
5F's traditional morning stuff.
Okay, here goes our stuff. Starting with our weird fact of the day. The first one says, animals that lay eggs don't have belly buttons. Now you know. A tiger's stripes are different on the left and right sides of its body, which would drive me crazy because I'm all into symmetry. The first email was sent in 1971. Russia is only 2 miles from Alaska. A group of blue jays is called a party of blue jays. And there are more than 250,000 different words in the English language, which explains why vocabulary is so tricky. All right, our Would You Rather. Yesterday you got to answer those. Today I will give you my answers. There are actually 4 choices today in the Would You Rather, and it's all about what you would do if you were hypnotized. So it says, you've been hypnotized. Which of the following would you choose? I'm going to read the 4, and then I'll tell you what my choice would be. First one, whenever someone says the word goodbye, you think you are a Spanish conquistador in the middle of a duel, so you just break out into a sword fight. Or, whenever you hear the word 4, like the number, spoken out loud, you think that the person who's talking to you is an opposing sumo wrestler. So you get down on a squat and you charge them. Or, whenever the clock strikes noon, you think that your clothes are creatures trying to smother you. Ooh, I don't like that one. Or, whenever the clock strikes 3 p.m., you become utterly convinced that you're a hockey goalie who needed to do everything in your power to prevent anybody and anything from getting past you. That's at 3 o'clock every day, you turn into a hockey goalie. All right, so you've got the conquistador. If someone says goodbye, you've got when somebody says the word 4, you turn into a sumo wrestler. You've got this clock striking noon, and you think your clothes are trying to smother you, or the 3 p.m. hockey goalie. When I think about this, they'd all be embarrassing, obviously, but the one that who's afraid of being embarrassed? For starters, I think you'd have to pick the one that's on a schedule, because the ones where you're just left whenever anybody says something, you could be anywhere and somebody could say it, and so it's unpredictable. Plus, people could just torture you by just going 4, 4, 4, 4, and then you'd have to keep doing it. So I'd go with the one that's on a timer, like either the 3 o'clock or the noon. And my take is I'd probably rather go with the 3 o'clock, turn into the hockey goalie. One, because it's the end of the school day and you guys would almost be gone, so that would be fine. But noon, the other one was having your clothes smother you, and I think that would be a horrifying thing to think that your clothes are trying to kill you or smother you or something. So I wouldn't want to do that. I'd pick option 4, turn into a hockey goalie at 3 o'clock. So there you have it. There's our Would You Rather for the day.
That was our morning stuff.
All right, the rest of our meeting this morning is going to feature a guest speaker. That guest speaker is a good friend of mine. Some of you saw him on the Q&A last week. That is none other than our lower school dean, Mr. Logan. Mr. Logan, who to me coincidentally looks a little bit like this guy back here if he had longer hair. Eric, is his name Eric? Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Logan is going to read a story, and I realize that's kind of little kiddish, a little elementary, but I love the message of the story. And the reason I want to share this with you is I've been around a few of you guys this year when you've made some bad choices and maybe even gotten in trouble. And one of the first lines of defense that you or other fifth graders often give when they do something unkind or they say something unkind and they get in trouble for it, they say, "I was just kidding. Oh, it was just a joke. I wasn't really meaning to be mean or ugly. I was just kidding." And I hear my kids do that too, and it drives me crazy because I don't think that's ever a valid excuse to do something unkind or to make somebody feel hurt. So that's what this story is about. And again, it's probably meant for little kids, and I don't mean to make you feel that way, but it is a good message, and I want to have him share that with you. Before he does, I want to show you a little inside bonus clip. Mr. Logan came over last week. He needed some tech help with his computer, and so he came over and I helped him. And then we did one of our favorite pastimes. Mr. Logan and I, for years and years, have gotten together to play ping pong. I'm a pretty decent ping pong player, but Mr. Logan is a great ping pong player. I want to give you a little glimpse of what that looked like. This is us in my garage. Mr. Logan usually smokes me in ping pong. Right here we were just warming up, but here's a little inside glimpse of Mr. Sweet v. Mr. Logan in ping pong. Too bad. I may have got a point off of him. We did play about 8 games that day, and I think he beat me 7 out of the 8, so I had nothing to brag about. All right, without further ado, here's Mr. Logan reading Just Kidding.
Hey, good afternoon, boys and girls. Just wanted to share a story with you. It's called Just Kidding. Before we share it, just want to wish everybody well during this interesting time. Stay safe, and hopefully you guys are enjoying a lot of family time. All right, once again, here's our book, Just Kidding. There are times I hate being a kid. Here I am waiting to see which team will choose me for some pickup basketball, and the decision rests on a stupid game of rock, paper, scissors. We'll play 2 out of 3, says Vince to Cody. Loser gets DJ. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. That's what I feel like, a loser. Like I've got a big L stamped on my forehead. Rock, paper, scissors. Back at my old school, my friends would joke around with me, but they never made me feel like I was a joke. Rock, paper, scissors. Ha! You lose, Cody, says Vince. DJ's on your team. I look at the guys. Nobody says anything about Vince's dumb way of choosing whose team I'm on. Suddenly, I don't feel like playing and start heading home. Hey, DJ, where are you going? Calls Vince as I walk off the basketball court. Home, I shout. What's the matter, DJ? Can't you take a joke? I was just kidding. Some joke, I snap back and break into a run. I race across the baseball field, past a bunch of houses that line my street, and to my treehouse in our backyard. Jerks, I yell from the treehouse. They're all jerks. Then I sit there thinking back on all the times Vince made fun of me in front of the other kids. When I first came to Roosevelt Elementary a month ago, Vince seemed friendly enough. But when I tried out for the soccer team he was on, things started to get a little weird between him and me. Hey Vince, I told him. Coach Gibbs said I'd be a great goalie for the team. Did you hear that, guys? Vince called out. DJ's gonna be our new girlie. And the kids laughed at Vince, pranced around the soccer field with a goofy look on his face. I laughed along with them because Vince was so funny, but it really bugged me that he made a joke instead of congratulating me. Yesterday morning when I got on the school bus, I headed to my usual seat, way in the back next to Vince, Brian, and the other guys. Right when I sat down, Vince asked, "Are you wearing a pajama top to school?" Before I could answer, he started poking me with his finger, chanting, "DJ's wearing PJs. DJ's wearing PJs." "That's not funny, Vince," I said. "Poke. Quit it. Poke. Knock it off, Vince. Poke. Cut it out." Everyone on the bus got really quiet, and the bus driver glared at Vince and me through his rearview mirror. Vince looked all innocent-like and said, loud enough for the driver to hear, "Geez, I was just kidding." Then today, Vince comes up with his lame way of placing me on a team. I've had it. "DJ, are you in the treehouse?" asked Dad from below. I'm too angry to answer, so I don't. "DJ, are you okay?" "I don't want to talk about it." "Well, why don't we just play some catch instead?" I joined Dad in the yard and he hands me my baseball glove. We toss the ball in silence. The rhythm of the ball going back and forth calms me down a bit. After a while, Dad asks, "You ready to talk about it now?" "Yeah." So I tell him how Vince teases me in ways I don't think are funny. I try to ignore him so he'll stop, but he doesn't, I say. Then I end up losing it, looking like I'm the jerk because I can't take a joke. "I just don't get it, Dad. Why does he pick on me like this?" "DJ, you may never know exactly why kids like Vince are mean to you, but I do think it has more to do with what's going on with him than with you," he says. We toss the ball a little more. Then Dad suggests we play a game to help me figure out how to handle myself when kids like Vince pick on me. He calls over my big brother Nick to help. "This game worked for Nick and I think it'll work for you too," adds Dad. "Nick, no way." "Yep," nods Nick. "The same kind of thing happened to me at school last year. There's only one rule in this game," says Dad. "You can't say or do anything mean back to the teaser." Nick goes first to show me how the game is played and calls Dad Four Eyes. "You're right," says Dad. "Wearing glasses is like having an extra set of eyes. Thanks for noticing." "Good one, Dad," laughs Nick. When it's my turn, I can't think of anything great to say, so I just act goofy and that cracks us all up. The next morning, I get on the school bus and sit down next to Brian. Vince moves to a seat right behind us. I know he's up to no good. Sure enough, he starts making his move, this time on Brian. "Hey, bedhead," Vince says, "did you bother looking in the mirror this morning?" Brian squirms in his seat as some kids on the bus watch in silence. "Cool do," I say to Brian. Then I mess up my hair even worse than Brian's and makes a fish face to go with my new crazy hairdo. The kids around us burst out laughing. Vince doesn't say another word the rest of the ride to school. "Thanks, DJ," whispers Brian. "No problem," I whisper back. I'd like to say that Vince stopped bugging me after that, but he didn't. I even caught him red-handed in class, sticking a wad of gum on my chair. When I told him to take it off, he just laughed and walked away. So my dad and I met with the teacher, Mrs. Winter, and asked for her advice. Mrs. Winter said she was glad we told her about this problem. Vince has somehow learned that it's okay to say and do hurtful things to people, she said. I'll have the school counselor work with Vince to teach him the skills he needs to be a better friend. In the meantime, she adds, hang out with kids who make you feel good about yourself. It's also important to let me know if Vince continues to pick on you. But I don't want to be a tattletale. Tattling is when you're trying to get someone in trouble, explained Mrs. Winter. Reporting is when you're trying to help someone in trouble. In this case, DJ, you're reporting because you're in trouble and you need help. So I followed Mrs. Winter's advice, and Vince eventually stopped bugging me so much. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to kid around with your friends and family, but I learned the hard way that when a joke has a sharp edge to it, it can cut you into pieces. Now I hang out with Brian, Joe, and Miguel. We horse around and have fun without making fun of each other. And that's just the way we like it. All right, hope you guys enjoyed our book, Just Kidding. Obviously, it's never okay to use the phrase just kidding as an excuse to hurting somebody's feelings. So we'll be back in a few days for another story, okay?
All right, that's it for today, guys. Tomorrow, again, check in with me at 8:45 using Zoom. I'll put the link in Seesaw, and we look forward to another live edition 5F morning meeting. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.